So today at the Let Kids Be Kids studio, we've got a special guest who I've gotten to know quite well over the last year. So Tanya, you're a familiar face now for many New Zealanders, and you're known probably as the articulate and always immaculate, dressed blonde in the New Zealand First seats in Parliament. And you seem pretty hard to argue with in chambers.
New Zealand First have met with many who have been adversely affected by these vaccines, and we will continue to listen to them and their heartbreaking stories of how their lives have changed.
All that your opposition can seem to do is heckle you, and it doesn't seem to worry you at all. And so you're such an inspiration to men and women out there.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up being part of New Zealand First.
Well, it was never an aspiration to be a politician, I've got to say. I'm an accountant by trade, so specialised in computer software support. And then in my 30s, I trained to be a therapist. And that was for personal reasons, to get over certain things that I had to deal with in life. And then when I was 40, I was widowed. And that was when I wrote my first books about grief. I specialised in grief. So between, say, 40 and 50, I really mixed the whole commerce and business mentoring side of things. And it worked really well, I have to say. So I was self-employed, so I saw clients. I was a coach for Tony Robbins, which was a real honour. And I had a bit of time in corporate as well. So that was when I really fell in love with writing. And I wrote the first 2 books. And then just recently, in the last 5 years, I've written my second 2 books. And so they're all about personal development and grief and overcoming adversity and things like that. And one of the things that has happened in my life is I've always had a desire to somehow contribute and help mankind. And that probably started when Phil died, obviously. And, you know, my desire for politics came to just do that service on a greater level. And it's quite interesting how life just unfolds, you know. And once I put it out there in 2021 that actually this is the path I'm going to take, then the doors opened and I found NZ First. And before you know it, the election happened and I was there, you know. So it was very an intentional decision. And then just everything happened as it was meant to happen.
You know what flow feels like,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. When you surrender, it just happens.
Yeah. And I guess because you've got that background of your own journey and going through your own challenges and finding your own confidence, then when you see the door open, you walk through it. I think that's the difference with a lot of people, is that they think, oh, but I couldn't do that, or someone else can do it better than me. But now is not the time to sit in the corner, is it?
No. And, you know, so often people open the door and they go, oh, that's a bit scary, and they don't go through it. You've actually got to go through that little bit of fear and discomfort and uncertainty in order to then go, oh, this is what stepping out of my comfort zone feels like. And you just make that decision to keep walking. Or running.
Yeah, and you can't turn back. Have you had a day of regret since joining New Zealand First?
The word's not regret. Every now and then I go, oh my God, this is hard. And then I stop and think, actually, Winston Peters is probably working now and he's probably only had 4 hours sleep. So get off your butt, girl, and go.
Yeah, no excuses.
No excuses.
Yeah, really, honestly, when I watch you, it's like water off a duck's back. And when the hecklers come in, and you said to me the other day something about how you feel about bullies. And so do you want to just say what you say about bullies?
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't like bullies at all. And I was bullied as a kid. I've protected a lot of people who have been bullied. In my corporate world, I have helped people who have been bullied. And I just think it's not okay. So respectfully, say no.
Yeah.
Learning how to do it respectfully.
Yeah. And when you're in full flight in there and you're hearing the hecklers, you just up your volume a little bit and just keep going.
Yeah,
you know?
I do.
And it's a great strategy, and I think a lot of us can learn from that to just be our brave self every day. So So thanks for what you've given people when they see you doing that.
No worries. Well, look, I really feel that part of being New Zealand First, what I love about it is that they really listen to everyone. We're a voice for people who don't have a voice. Yeah. So I'm not going to go into the chamber and be shut down. I'm there to speak up for everyone, including me. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Winston's a good role model in that space.
Isn't he just?
Right. So what parts of your personal and professional experience have you found to be the most valuable in your time with New Zealand First?
Look, without question, all of the difficulties I've been through in my life, all that adversity has made me strong. My parents, tough as, really being brought up in a resilient family, but also all of the years of personal development I've done since I've been a teenager. That has given me personal certainty. It's given me a strong personal foundation. The coaching, being coached by Tony Robbins, like he puts you through the mill to be part of his team. It's a 3-month interview process, and it's like going through the Navy SEALs. And being one of his coaches, you have to be disciplined. So having that resilience and being disciplined, I suppose you could call it emotional intelligence. You actually need to have a very strong personal identity and certainty in self and be okay with discomfort, because this job creates a lot of personal discomfort, and you've got to be okay in feeling that and going, just water off a duck's back and brush yourself off and then get back up again. So I would say, I've got all the degrees and the letters after my name. That's not it. I think it's all that life experience.
It's really interesting when you say that, because in the world that I sit in, with looking mainly at the kids stuff, everything that's coming through is really inviting society to be victims and to be quite sensitive and think that, you can off your responsibility on your behaviour. And I was even talking to someone the other day who was saying they were having to coach younger people and counsel and be like, you might be having a bad day, but you can't bring it in here. We're here to serve the people. And kind of keeping that victim mentality out and just showing up. So what you're saying is the time spent on your own personal development is some of the best time spent you can have, right?
100%. Learn personal responsibility, take extreme ownership for your life. And there's no excuses, really. We're adults. You've got the decision on whether you want to wake up for the next 24 hours and walk around like a victim, or put your shoulders back and feel victorious and own your day. It's up to us. It's a decision.
Yeah, it is a decision, and no one else can make that decision for us. And I've gone through that, going through the fire too, and I haven't got the background of Tony Robbins, for example, but boy, you go through the fire and you realise that actually every morning when you wake up, you just have a choice. Do I be the best version of myself, or do I blame everybody else? So, and I think when we take personal responsibility, we don't need to rely on the government as much, because we are showing up as the best people in our own lives, right?
Imagine a community that everyone showed up and took personal responsibility, it'd be a thriving community.
Yeah, I talk about that. Radical self-responsibility is the best thing that we can do for ourselves. Yeah. You and I getting to know each other a little bit, we talk a lot about what's going on with the kids in school and the relationship and sexuality education guidelines, and I see that was really one of the biggest election topics coming up to the election, because that's what's affecting people in their homes. So what can you tell me about the review that happened just before Christmas? What can you tell me about what 2025 might be looking like in the space of relationship and sexuality education?
Well, it was a big topic that we campaigned on, New Zealand First, education, not indoctrination. And we heard what was really going on. People came to us and we listened, and that's what I've been doing in the first year of being a parliamentarian, is going on the ground and listening to the parents. Without doing that, I wouldn't know what was really going on, and people showing me what they're going through. So New Zealand First have listened, and we will continue to listen. That's never going to stop. We need to keep hearing more. So once all that happens, I report what I know back to our caucus and our team. And some of those big decisions are made by people who are higher up the rung than me. So Winston is aware of what's going on, and it is at that level that those decisions are made. So I'm not privy to the information above that, but when I'm out there listening to people, that is all being filtered back. But people are contacting them direct though. So we will continue to deliver on what we campaigned on, and we want to know more as well.
Yeah, and even from my time of talking to you and providing you with information, it's this realisation that boots on the ground, what we're seeing, needs to be shown to you guys so that you understand, because you're looking at stuff at a high level, at policy level, and we don't know how much you know about how that impacts homes, families, kids, kids who end up in therapy and things like that. So the message is just to keep telling you.
Keep speaking to us. We will listen. You know, I spend a lot of time on the ground listening to various groups, and that is how I am educated on what is really going on. So keep it up.
Yeah,
for
cool.
sure.
Okay. Yeah, and thanks for being so available. And I'm guessing all the other MPs for New Zealand First are out there doing the same thing too, right?
Yeah, well, we've all got various portfolios and areas, so we tend to end up with certain areas that people gravitate to us for, you know. So if it's not me, it will be someone else, but contact me anyway.
Yeah, cool.
Or our team.
Yeah, because the big thing that happened with the RSE situation was Winston coming out and saying, you know, job done, tick the box, that's all sorted. And we've done a couple of videos on this saying we think that that's a bit preemptive, that perhaps it isn't sorted yet as far as the depth that we would want it to go to. So we just keep talking to you.
Keep telling us that. Keep telling us your concerns.
Yeah.
You know, if we are saying, yep, this is done, but you have other ideas and feel actually, no, there's a bit more to be done, then it's up to you to please let us know, you know exactly what is missing.
Yeah.
So.
And what I would probably say to people is instead of just having a rant online about it, actually reach out to you guys, make a meeting, send an email, send your evidence, actually be really constructive so that you can use that information, because boy, oh boy, people have a rant online, but are they actually willing to take a step out of their comfort zone and come and talk to an MP because you're approachable?
Yeah, 100%. Start with an email.
Yeah.
We are the people's representative at the end of the day. You know, we're here for you. So this is where we are asking you, tell us.
Yeah.
Let us know. This is, in a way, you taking personal responsibility. It's very easy, like you say, to do a rant online or blame. But unless we don't know what we don't know. So let us know what's going on.
And actually you had your convention at the end of last year, and I knew I couldn't get there because I was away, but people went along that I knew and they fed back and they were pleasantly surprised at how much you engage with the people. So if people really do want to have a constructive say, they need to really sign up and get involved as much as they can, right?
100%.
Yeah.
I love talking. Come and talk.
Come and talk, yeah. So what about, is there anything that you can say about Trump's first day in office when he signed a document about exiting the WHO?
What can I say? Well, I know it's happened, but as far as what's going on in New Zealand, there's nothing more I can add. I've been listening to everything that's going on around the world and you know, all the things he's doing, but haven't spoken to caucus, there's nothing else I can add there, truthfully.
And it's an interesting time, isn't it? Because it's over our summer break that all this is going on too. So.
Yes. I see today is his 20th wedding anniversary, so he'll be busy today, I'm sure, doing other things. Yeah. I just saw that actually before I left.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting time to watch and see what's going on in the play all around the world. And it's a tough one here because a lot of people think that what's happening over there is going to just happen here. And my take on it is we use the information that's coming out with powerful people overseas to help us to form a stronger argument to back up what we're already saying here.
Whatever is on your mind, come and talk to us. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, do that.
Yeah, cool. Can you tell me a little bit about your involvement with the COVID inquiry and why that has personal significance to you and where you're at with everything there?
Where we're at?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was something that New Zealand First campaigned on, and some people say, oh, she went with New Zealand First because that was their policy. That wasn't it at all. I had no idea, truthfully. That was what they were doing when I first got involved with New Zealand First. I made my decision to be aligned with New Zealand First in July of 2021. July the 10th, actually, I know the exact day because it was such a significant 24 hours. Everything happened, and then I went, actually, New Zealand First. I've always loved Winston Peters. He's like my dad. He's so like my late father. And that night I read everything about who New Zealand First and went, oh, wow, why have you not been part of New Zealand First? You know, they're very much aligned with who I am. And so people often think that I went there because of the COVID thing. It's not at all. I hadn't, I don't think the mandates and all that started then, did they? But it was, look, I followed that whole journey, had a very difficult experience with both of my parents locked down, unable to be together at the end stage of their life. Brothers couldn't be by their dying parents. It was hideous for me personally. And I followed that whole scenario. So it was something dear to my heart because I don't like to see people suffering. And there were thousands and thousands of people suffering. Mental health, physical health, you name it. The lockdowns and those mandates did a lot of harmful things. Me being someone who wants to help individuals and put an end to suffering, I was drawn to that naturally. And then just during the time with New Zealand First, people were coming to speak to me about it. So it was one of those situations where, Tanya's listening. And so I listened more, and that's why I'm really informed on it. I'm going around listening to people who are injured with vaccine injuries, and they do exist. There's many, many, many out there, and they need to be heard. So they are suffering not only physically but mentally, and they need to start healing. And if it takes a politician to sit and listen, to say, yes, I do believe you, and it may be just that, but that helps them start on their healing process. So it's just happened, I just happened to be the one, I suppose, where people come to me, and I've been following it very closely, nationally and internationally.
Yeah, because it takes a while for people to trust anyone again who's had that experience, right? I mean, New Zealand First wasn't in when all of that was going on. Obviously, and Winston was one of the only ones that came out and spoke to the people down in Parliament, but the trust is so low. I mean, I wasn't trusting anybody until I believed, and actually the first time I ever really noticed you was I was down at the NZDSOS when they brought the paperwork out and you came out with Winston. I was behind the camera that day.
Oh, right.
And I was like, who's this lady? Can we trust her? Because of how everyone had been treated for such a long time, and that they had tried to get the information out and no one had listened. So it's almost too good to be true sometimes to think, well, you genuinely already knew that this was a problem. You've managed to get your foot in the door there, and you are listening to the people. So, yeah, so I honour you for that, and the work that you do with the people that have been trying to raise the alarm bell for a really long time. It's a tough world that we're in. How much energy people have to put into protecting ourselves from government's decisions. Like it shouldn't even be, I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing with Let because it shouldn't be needed to protect the children, to protect people who have been harmed. So yeah, so it's a long journey. It feels a bit slow to be sorting it out. I remember after the election happened, feeling into my body how it would have felt had the other side got in. And it was awful because, we were kind of expecting the worst by then. So I was like, well, at least we know we've got at least some people in there that do represent the people and have gone through this and understand what's going on. So, yeah.
And it's thanks to everyone who came out and came to the New Zealand First meetings during campaign time, who reached out to Winston and other members in our caucus and told us all what was going on for them, that it was a priority for us. It was back in July 2023 that Winston announced the COVID inquiry because he'd been listening to people for a long time and it was a priority.
Yeah, and you turned things that they didn't want to look at into priorities, which
100%.
Which is good. And yeah, it does take a while, but at least that's starting the process. So
one thing I've learned, being a Tony Robbins coach especially, things get done quickly, boom, boom, boom. It's not like that in Parliament.
Yeah.
Okay. So please, I said it in my first COVID speech, be patient.
Yeah.
And just know we're listening and it's grinding in the background, okay? Things are being done.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen as fast as many people want it to happen.
Yeah, it must be frustrating. I would look at that and think, I don't know if I could get involved there because it would drive me mad. I can't just get stuff done straight away. Yeah. So yeah, you must be having to learn patience at a really grand scale.
I am having to learn, yeah, I know.
Patience and diplomacy and especially with a three-party coalition. So yeah, you've got to weigh up the checks and balances, I guess, of what your not negotiables are versus your negotiables. And
for a small party of 6%, We got some really big things in the coalition agreement, the COVID inquiry being one of them.
Yeah.
So I am so thrilled about that, and I have complete trust in Winston. And that, that's just part of MMP, so 6% but strong backbone.
Just going back to what you said before about when you first started looking at New Zealand First, and then you're like, oh, why, why haven't I thought about this before? How much do you think the media influenced the fact that you hadn't thought about it before?
No, I don't think it was the media. I think it was just apathy about politics.
Yeah.
And I think most people have their head in the sand unless something directly affects them. And I voted one way all of my life without thinking. I just go and tick, tick.
Yeah.
Job done.
Well, you're explaining pretty much what 99% of the population does, right?
Yeah.
And it's only when something, like you say, I always say that too, there's something will happen in your life that kicks you out of apathy and into action when you care enough about something. And if it hasn't happened yet, it's probably going to happen soon.
Yeah.
That's what I can say about that.
Yeah, because look, I'm a woman of action and I consider myself to be an intelligent woman. But still, that area of my life was like, oh no, let everyone else sort it. I'll just go and tick, tick what I normally do.
Yeah.
So there's an example of actually, no, take personal responsibility, have a look, get the information, and then make a decision.
Yeah. Imagine what would happen if we had a country run by people with that kind of tenacity and a realisation. I have to get off my bum and actually do something if I want change. Like literally be the change you see in the world. I think we live in a very compliant nation, and countries like Canada are the same, where we've sort of been mollycoddled into a comfortable life of making a profit and doing our thing and thinking that the public servants are other people. There's magical other people that show up that just assume that what we want is what happens. And now we're in this position where we're like, gee, well, we were just asleep at the wheel here. We have to show up. We have to spend the hours, turn the television off and actually do your research, find the people that you can go to that you can trust. Right? So it's a big shift in psychology for people.
Not only in politics, but every area of your life. Take responsibility for your health, your finances, all of that stuff. It's so easy to not pay attention and turn the other way. You've got so much power.
Yeah.
So it's just about being an example to others.
Yeah.
And showing up and doing it and leading the way and asking others to do the same.
Yeah.
Encouraging them.
Yeah, encouraging them and leading by example. Yeah. But saying, I'm not here to save you. I'm here to do me, and if that helps you to do you, then that's great. Can we just have one more question, which is about the gene technology bill?
Yep.
So that's obviously been happening all at the last minute, well, it feels at the last minute and a bit rushed over this time, and it's a very comprehensive bill and people are quite concerned about it. Is there anything that you can tell me about New Zealand First's support of it so far, or any conversations that you can enlighten us to?
Sure. Well, it is something that is in the coalition agreement, and that is what MMP does. But let me read you what it does say. Liberalise, this is between New Zealand First and National, liberalise genetic engineering laws while ensuring strong protections for human health and the environment. That is what we put in the coalition agreement. So go back and read that. And I just encourage people to make their submission, because New Zealand First will listen.
Yeah, so if people are reading the coalition agreement and then comparing that with what they're seeing in the bill, they need to be quite specific about how they come back to you in terms of upholding what you've said in the bill.
What I've said in the
coalition
agreement.
Yeah, versus what's in the bill. Yeah.
Just express your concerns and be very specific and very detailed.
Yeah.
It's important that, a lot of people think, oh, that's not for me to do that. But no, definitely make a submission. You can make oral submissions, and you can, if you're an organisation, you can make an oral submission as well, request an oral submission.
Yeah, okay.
Well, actually, I think even an individual, you can request an oral submission, but it just depends on the timing that you get.
Yeah.
But definitely make a submission.
Okay.
New Zealand First will listen.
Yeah, because there's some real concerns there about deregulating biotech, and at a time when the world is realizing that that's not such a great idea. It seems kind of even surprising that this is happening right now, because countries around the world are really realizing that it's not a great idea, some of the stuff that's in there. So yeah, people need to really get behind this and do your research, listen to people that have done their research, that can summarize it, like Guy Hatchett and people like that, because it's it could take our sovereignty away, and it's a really big deal.
That's why it's important for everyone to, with any topic, just to keep reaching out to us and letting us know your concerns.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much for coming and chatting today. Is there any last things that you would like to say to people?
Oh, look, the first thing that comes to mind is take responsibility for your life. I know this is a little bit, it's a bit more coachy, I suppose, but, so many people, you asked me that question, how do you do it? Someone else asked me yesterday when I was speaking to them, how do you do this? I have purpose. When you've got real purpose in life, then life is more meaningful. You're more fulfilled. Yes, you can achieve and gather stuff, have big bank balances, but without fulfillment, it doesn't feel the same. So get some meaning and purpose in your life and have a strong reason why. Your why might be your children. Do it for them. Your why might be your physical health. Take that back. There's so much you can do to take care of your own health. And I always focus on the family. Create a strong family unit. Hold that. Keep showering your children with love so that they don't need a love affair with their devices. With a strong family unit, you will have a strong community and a strong country, hopefully one day, So that is the message I want to leave. Actually, yeah.
That's why I love you so much, because I couldn't say it any better myself. Thank you, Tanya.
My pleasure.
I'll see you again soon.
You bet.